That's all. Now, one movie I would not be checking out if it was to come on my damn cable is Bros. Did you like that transition? Yeah, so I finally got around to watching Bros. Well, I should probably set the scene, right? Because that's what we do here. You know, I have a flair for the dramatic. And child, I gagged when I found out Billy Eichner's a Virgo like me. I said, nobody's that fucking annoying and loud. We share the same damn sign, but I'm not. I hope I'm not as annoying as he is. Okay, so after 2 weeks of being in the theater, and you know, the director telling us people, what did he say? That because I know I had the article that I wrote it. He said something or another about that we don't know what's good for us or something or another. Didn't he say that? So apparently, after 2 weeks, Bros has ended up on it's available to rent and to buy, but I think it's still in the movies. But if you want to own the film, yeah, but so was it Billy Eichner? You know, remember he blamed the bombing of the film on straight people when it was like, in my opinion, I felt like you were trying to give this film at straight people. I said in the beginning when I did not see the movie, I did say, you know what, maybe it has something to do with the marketing. Oh yeah, the director said people don't know what's good for them. So I'm gonna pull up the quote, because then it gives precipice to this conversation. This is what he told the Hollywood Reporter. And I have to say, after posting this article, the writer of this article actually follows me on social media. So shout out to him. Yeah. So when you got, I feel like, you know, it's real legit when you got reporters actually watching and seeing what you're doing. And they're like, okay, I see you. You see it. I'm respectable. Okay, so he says, I can't say that I'm happy with how the movie performed. It's very strange because the movie is so much fun. And as someone who makes comedies for movie theaters, or did until I guess this weekend, I love seeing comedies in movie theaters, and people do. It's almost like people don't know what's good for them. I've screened the film a lot of times, and it always screens really well. As I was joking with a friend of mine, it's an entertainment delivery system. There's a lot of things going on as to why it might not have done as well as we had hoped, but I really like it. I don't know what to say. It's just super confusing. He says, we got the data back. Gay men are the only people who saw the movie. It's not like Billy Eichner said something that was a lie or incorrect. I think the industry has trained people to not go to the theaters for comedy, but I also think people saw it and thought, the story is not my story. Why would I go see that? And they will slowly discover it, because that's what happened with most of the movies like I've directed, with the exception of Neighbors. It's people discover it as it gets out in the world. I think a lot of people are still afraid to go to the theaters, and a lot of people will get it on streaming. Well, this is what I told you bitches from the beginning, but y'all was trying to act like y'all was above streaming, so you decided to release it in a damn theater, and you saw it flop hard at the box office. Number one, I said, and I'm gonna still stick by it, you shouldn't have released it in no damn October. You should have released it around Pride Month, similar to the much better, in my opinion, Fire Island. Fire Island, in my opinion, was a way better movie. And it was funny. It didn't come across as preachy at times, which is what this film felt like to me. So I took notes. Billy Eichner, first of all, screamed throughout the entire damn movie. Why are you shouting your lines? Every line does not have to be shouted like you're on stage at the Beacon Theater and you're doing a Broadway play, where you're trying to make sure your voice is heard to the back of the theater. That is not how you deliver lines. That is not how you act on film. And the director of the film should have told you that. It literally felt like I was getting Billy on the street for 2 hours. Now, I've noticed one thing about Billy Eichner. I can take him in small doses, and I think most people can take him in small doses. 2-hour movie ain't it. And he shouldn't have been, he was literally at 92%. I'm being cute. You know, I'm being a little extra like Billy was in this movie. I'm not even gonna say 90%. I'm gonna say 92. The other 8 was for the rest of the cast, which means they barely got any screen time. To me, it felt like there was a lack of social cues. Like you're not aware of your surroundings. he comes, there's a scene where he comes in, and I think it's like in the beginning of the movie, after he does a podcast and the other, meets up with his group of friends who, in my opinion, I felt like in real life, he wouldn't even hang out with these people. I just did not feel like they were friends in any way. There was no sense of love. There was no sense of camaraderie. It was just like, oh, I'm going to just come in and, what did I miss? Not, how's everybody doing? Hey, whenever you watch shows like Sex and the City, or even in Just Like That, like you see when the girls get together, they hug and they kiss and they kiki and they hang out and they do all these things. It's like, where was that camaraderie? And it's like, we saw his friend Guy Branum, who was basically trying to kiss everybody, shade and be team Billy Eichner and all the reviews or whatever. And I heard he has 2 sitcoms coming out on networks, so I think on ABC and another network. There was that scene where I felt, okay, these two could be friends. Like, I believed Guy Branum and Billy Eichner were friends during that scene where they were at the nightclub where they were promoting the new Zellweger app, which I thought that was kind of cute, with the whole Renee Zellweger app, where they just say it's basically an app where gay men can get online and just talk. It's like Grindr or Scruff, but they get on there and they talk about actresses, which I thought was kind of funny. The scene between him and Aaron, okay, I'll preface this by saying, I always try to come on here and try to curb my, but I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of having to sit and worry about, oh my God, I'm going to offend people, this, that, and the third. When have I become that person? I'm one. I did not buy the relationship between Bobby and Aaron at all. I do not believe that as someone like I'm sure stranger things have happened in life. There have been guys who are excruciatingly buff who get in a relationship with someone who is just an average looking regular guy. I've seen that happen. But to me, it was just like his energy and just like, oh, well, I don't believe that you would get with a guy like me. And it was like, what are you doing? Like, why are you projecting a lot of your insecurities and the self-deprecation and all that other stuff on this relationship or on this guy? And he immediately wanted to get into a relationship with him when he's like, I'm not comfortable in my age. They're both in their 40s. It's like, I'm not trying the relationship type. I just want to meet guys and hook up and we'll be friends and, like just not friends, but hang out, and I want to fuck other people. Which is typically what you get a lot of in New York anyway. The sex scenes irritated me. They felt very weird. They were dumbed down. I know, like, it's a comedy and you want to make it awkward, but for comedy's sake, but it wasn't believable. It's the typical, 2 hot guys, and then you got the okay looking guy like Billy Eichner, and then you got the ugly duckling type, the awkward, other guy trying to get in the middle of that. I'm sorry, but the many 3 ways and 40s I've been into, I've never encountered no shit like that. So that was not relatable. But I don't know, there were just a lot of scenes in the film that were just cringy for me. I did want more Josh and Aaron. Now, people wonder who Josh is. Josh is the guy who Bobby and Aaron run into at the oh my God, what is it? The independent movie theater, the one that's on West 4th Street by the subway. So they go in there to watch this gay movie, and then they run into someone that Aaron went to school with. And so the guy that he goes to school with is there with his fiance, and they run into each other. And of course, Billy Eichner's character got to make sure we're watching this independent gay movie about gay men in the closet and gay. Like, everything was about shouting your sexuality from the rooftop. I don't know no shade, but I don't know many gay men that do that in real life, where everything is a spectacle about your sexuality. Everything needs to be, I'm a queen, I'm a homo. Like, I need to be said, like, you need to shout this out like you're putting on this spectacle. Like, mama, can you hear me? Papa, can you hear? Like, it's very much like you're not doing Barbara damn Streisand, sis. Like, relax. That's what you were just doing and giving too much of that. It's like, girl, I'm not saying that you need to dilute who you are because you're a gay man. I'm telling you to bring it down because you're doing too much. And there are times where, yes, a lot of times gay guys can be extra. And there's nothing wrong with telling girl, dollar bag. And it's not trying to say, and the way Billy Eichner was, because he wrote the damn movie, of course, so he's only going to see it from that narrow-minded point of view. Oh, you're trying to tell me that I can't be myself because I'm doing this. And this and this and that. No. Real friends check their damn friends. I have no problem checking my friends, and I expect them to do the same when it comes to me. If I'm out of pocket, if I'm acting a fool, check me. Let me know. I appreciate it. I'll be pissed at first. I'll probably give a little pushback and cuss your ass out, but that's what real friends do. So, there was a lot of that. And then there was the scene that bothered me. Oh yeah. I wanted more T.S. Madison and Miss Lawrence. First of all, I felt like they were wasted. They had their cute little lines, but we didn't really get to know a lot about them. And if you're introducing us to these people that you're working at this LGBTQ museum that you're basically trying to get funding for, which he did, he had to go to Provincetown and get a $5 million backing from Bowen Yang, who was like one of the richest producers, gay producers. I thought it was cute having him in the movie. So he had to go all the way out to Provincetown to get that money. And I wanted more T.S. Madison and Miss Lawrence. I thought they were cute for the film, but it just felt too much like, okay, so we have to check every LGBTQ box, which is always the bitch that I have whenever we bring up, you know, whenever it comes to representation. I always say at the end of the day, tell the movie, tell the story you want to tell in the film that you're creating, and stop worrying about, okay, now we have this LGBT movie. We have to make sure we have every aspect of the community in this film, because you're going to get those people on social media. Well, you didn't have enough of this, and you didn't have enough of this, and you didn't have enough. Like, people were complaining about Fire Island. First of all, Fire Island was centered around these two Asian guys and their friends. There were people complaining because there was only one black person in it. Hello. It's a movie with two men of color in a lead. You don't normally see Asian men. There's a lot of, pick of the litter when it comes to black people in films. No shade. It may not be a lot when it comes to black LGBTQ people. But for the sake of that story, can we just let another marginalized group have their shit and not be that pissed off about it? The real thing that we should be talking about is how Billy Eichner was going around saying that this movie is revolutionary. It's the first of its kind, when it wasn't. But you have people of color in this film as window dressing. They didn't really have a sense of purpose. It was window dressing for him to tell his little story. The scene that pissed me off the most, we gonna get into it, yeah. The scene where Bobby is introduced to Aaron's parents. And they're at the restaurant. This big restaurant where they do show tunes, apparently. I mean, I thought he would have been gayer and took him to like Lucky Chang's or something. The drag bar, the drag restaurant. But anyway, so Bobby winds up getting on Aaron's mother and becoming very argumentative, or just like going back and forth, really like a fierce political debate. Why are we doing political debates in a rom-com? I have no idea, but here we go. This is where I talk about reading the room. Lack of social cues. So he's preaching to his mother about, why aren't you teaching second graders about LGBTQ history? Because LGBT kids at that age should, in my opinion, look, I'll say this. Now, I pride myself on being extremely liberal. I do live in one of the biggest liberal cities in the world, New York. I do have conservative views at times, not to the point of where I'm, voting for some damn Trump. I think people get it misconstrued what it means when we talk about liberal versus conservative. You can have views where it's just like, okay, I think that may be a little too young for a child to learn about sex and stuff. Let a kid be a kid. I've always kind of been in that way. When I learned about sex, it was about 9 or 10. Second grade, isn't it like 5 or 6? So why is because and then it didn't make sense because he was saying second grade, but he told a story about a 12, like being 12 years old and going to something where his parents, he was sitting in between them, and there was 7 penises that he was looking at, and being that he could be able to live that and do that in front of his parents was so liberating, and this, that, and the third. I was like, okay, but that's your parents. Your parents are a lot open-minded understanding. There's a lot of parents that aren't. Like, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine earlier today, and he was telling me how, like, there was an incident that happened with 2 boys in school, and they had to call and tell because somebody was touching somebody's stuff in their area, whatever. And he had to call the parent, and the parent was cussing and used all kind of homophobic slurs and stuff. And it's like, yeah, we have those situations, unfortunately, where you have those parents who don't want their kids to be gay, who are homophobic, who beat their children for even showing any kind of homosexuality. A lot of kids are homeless, out in the street, LGBT youth. We have that high rate of homeless teenagers that are out here having to fend for themselves because their parents get caught up in the whole religion doctrine. There's a lot of that. And for you to try to bring that into this film and putting it on a teacher to teach children tolerance about LGBTQ people, that's the wrong. It should be up to the parent. And unfortunately, all for being open-minded, and they're lucky enough to embrace their children. Like I'll say for my parents, luckily I've been in a situation where I've like my parents didn't kick me out when they found out about me being a member of the Rainbow Coalition. But for you to project that on the teacher, and this is what I saw was some bullshit, because at the end you literally have the teacher bringing the kids to the school, and then the kid goes, "Thank you for teaching about Liberace," and I'm like, okay. That just bothered me, because it's like you're taking the thing away. Now look, the real enemy is when you got Ron DeSantis out here with the Don't Say Gay bill, and you have all these other politicians that's trying to take away the rights of, LGBTQ people. That's what we should be taking our argument. We should be taking it to the voting machine, not screaming and putting a lot of your anger on a teacher who's just there to do their job. The most underpaid job, I would have to say, in this damn country, where they have to take money out their own paycheck, which ain't shit. Let's talk about that. And basically go out and buy supplies for their students so they can be able to learn and do the things they need to do for class. So that's what their argument really should have been. So this shit was misplaced. And another thing that I find irritating to me, if you don't have fucking children, don't tell people how to raise their kids. That's another thing. Let's not do that. Because this is the same one that in the movie was talking about he don't even like kids. He don't want to have, because him and Aaron talking about, Aaron wants to have kids, and Bobby really doesn't. So you're gonna get on his mother because they can't learn about LGBTQ history, but you don't want kids. So it was just disjointed. It just sort of like felt like you were just throwing, like it felt like a skit. The whole movie felt like a skit, like a satire. Like you just threw shit in there to see what stuck and what was funny. I don't know what fucking movie the rest of the world was watching where they must have been paid, because y'all was talking about, oh, this movie is funny and it's the funniest movie. I'm like, okay, no, I've seen funnier. I can think of lines from the movie Trick that came out 15 years ago that still hold up and has me hollering. Not in this movie. So I do feel like at the end of the day, the movie felt a little too preachy. It lacked heart. And my thing is this, because I was just thinking about it and I was trying to figure out how do I wrap this and analyze it best. We're sitting here talking about Billy Eichner and being revolutionary and all this money and this, that, and the third. They spent $22 million on this movie. I don't know where the fuck y'all spent it. Must have been on that scene with the museum with the roller coaster. That's probably where most of the shit went to. But this movie did not feel like it was, y'all should have been spending $22 million on it. At all.